Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about 6-star reads. Now these are all fantasy books. That's pretty much all I read. But these are more recent-ish 6-star releases. I've picked out 10. I'm sure there's more, but I'm at a point with my shelves where I can't see all the books I own. So I picked out 10. These are predominantly my top 10 6-star reads, books I will recommend over and over again, books that I know even on a reread I will never ever get bored of or feel differently about, because sometimes that does happen. You read a book that's 5-star, you'll reread it a year later and you're like, I don't know about this. Maybe it's because you see stuff that you hadn't noticed before. I don't know what it is, but it does happen, and I've had it happen to me. But these books, I know they're not going to happen to me. Now this is going to be in no particular order because I'm not doing that. That's going to be such a hard job to choose which one's number one when there are so many contenders for it. I already know what's my number one book of all time. Well, books by one author. And I've said this over and over again. It's the Chaos Verse by Melissa K. Rowick. I don't foresee any book ever topping that series and what it does to me and the emotions it evokes with me and how close I feel to those characters and viscerally tied to. I will never move on with that series from that series. I just don't foresee any, just the writing and the way, all the clues, it makes me so excited. I could talk about it forever and ever, and we're not going to. So, Kissed by the Gods by Kathy Rogan. This is the most recent book I read that ended up being a 6-star. The more I think about it, the more I love it. I love the world that this author has built. It stands out so much. Even having read it months ago, I still see it so clearly in my brain, and these characters and just the emotions that invoked from me and how giddy it made me. It's just like, it was one of those books where I read it and I was like, this is why I love reading. This is why I want to escape reality, because living lives within these books, there is just no better word for it. You're following an FMC who is a farmer, and not every year, when a boy becomes age, the King's Guard comes and takes the boy to work in the mines, and it's compulsory for the boy to complete a certain number of years within the mines, and then they can return home. But most boys don't return home. The mine kills 95% of the men that go to work it. And when her brother had died in the mine, she doesn't want to see any of her brothers go back to the mine. When one day the King's Guard comes, she knows what they're doing. She knows they're coming for her brother, and she can't live through it again, and she ends up killing the guards. Now, there's something very special about this FMC, and you're aware of it, and you're like, she knows. She's like, why am I so strong? Why am I able to do this when no one else can? What is it about me that's able to do these things? When she kills the King's Guard, her life completely turns upside down. They have to escape, but she ends up getting caught by these group of superhuman warriors, chosen by the gods' warriors, and she has the choice to either go with him willingly and her brother can live and move with the rest of their stuff and move away, or she comes with him forcefully and he kills her brother. So she decides to go with him, and things go crazy from there. Turns out she's blessed by the gods. Turns out she's this super warrior woman, the first warrior woman in ever that they know of. And everything, just kind of all the little links within the story, and then what unfolds from that is just insane. There is one plot line in here that I did not see coming, and I had my jaw drop, and I was literally just gasping and screaming out, like, what the fuck? How did we, like... And I'm just genuinely so happy that I don't read in public, because I think I would have made myself very embarrassed. But yeah, I am so excited for the rest of this series. This book has been picked up for traditional publishing, so it's being re-released very soon. The first edition book run of this book, stunning. I've already pre-ordered. I need every edition of this book. I just love it so much. And book 2, please. I do know that there's a novella within this world that I am planning on picking up. I think it's on Kindle. I don't own a Kindle, but I need to find a way to read it. It might be a case where I have to buy the physical copy of it. It's like 100 pages for £10, which seems a little bit insane for me. But I'm hoping that with the publisher having picked up this book that maybe they'll put the novella in the first book or the second book, or they'll do something to help it be accessible to readers. But yeah, I will read anything, any little story within this world. I will read it, and yeah, I think about this world daily. Next is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. This is probably my favourite book within the Crowns of Nyaxia universe, which is hard because there are several books that I love in the Crowns. I love every single book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, but this is just my favourite. This is a standalone, and we're following two characters that do become relevant within the main series, and that just their story and the way it really opens up the world so much more and brings answers to, first of all, the vampires and, you know, the things they're doing behind the scenes, but second of all to like this whole other facet of the world that we would never have been introduced to unless we'd picked up this book. So we're following an FMC who works within, well, she lives within this kind of, I think church is probably the closest word I can use to it, but she lives within this church. This is a church that follows the goddess of, I can't remember her name, the goddess of fate. Now, she lives within this church. They follow the goddess of fate, and one thing they do to kind of submit their life to the goddess of fate is they blind themselves. And she has been trained her whole life to work past her blindness, and she wears a red, probably easier if I showed you the artwork, but she is a follower of the goddess of fate, and one day she's sent on a mission to infiltrate his camp and get close to him and then eventually kill him. Obviously, as you would expect from that storyline, things do not go according to plan. Things go topsy-turvy, and her eyes are opened to a whole world that she was not a part of, having lived secluded in the goddess of fate's church. But I love their story. I love them. I love just everything that this book introduces us to and gives such clarity towards the world. I love when there are more books within a series and it just keeps adding to the world rather than just staying in one stagnant part of it. And yeah, I have 3 editions of this book. You can probably see there's one there and then there's one there. I love this series. This is definitely my favourite book within the world. And yeah, I've read this twice now, and I will probably read it again, to be quite honest, when the next set of duologies is released in the Crowns of Nyaxia universe. I'm so sad that's the final one, but I'm so excited because when we were introduced to the character that duology is about in the first book, I kind of brushed him off. He kind of seemed like kind of creepy, kind of weird. But as we kind of got to know him a bit more on the side of these other characters' stories, he definitely became more and more prominent, more and more vivid throughout the book, and he just changed completely in my eyes. It's crazy the way the author can do that. But I'm so excited for his duology. I have no idea what we're in store. I know what his plan is, and I know, you know, we kind of know from the last set of duologies that nope, that's going to be a spoiler, but we know what he's up to and what his plan is, but we have no idea how it's all going to come together and why we do know why, but just the whole accumulation of it and how it's just going to pretty much explode within the first book, and then the second book is going to take like a year to come out, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive that wait, because book 1's going to be insane. Now, of course, Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rowick. This is obviously 6-star. So is the Legacy series. This entire series in the Lady of Darkness is a 6-star, where Legacy series is more like a 5.5. There are some points in books where it was just a bit like, where are we going with this? You know, and I will say that A Dawn of Chaos and Fury, the ending that we had, I wasn't expecting. I loved it, but it kind of wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I did feel a little bit like, oh, I would have loved to have seen it this way, but I still loved it. But yeah, more like a 4.5. This is a resounding 6-star. I'm obsessed with this series. I think I've read it 4 times now. No, 3 times. I've read this series 3 times. I read it every year because I can't get enough, and I will be planning my reread this year, even though I read it 2 months ago. But yeah, I'll never have enough. It's like a comfort read at this point. The Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashim. I have ranted and raved about this duology. If you're looking for an enemies to lovers, like an actual enemies to lovers, much like everyone says about Neverkeep, where that is actually an enemies to lovers, it's still, well, I'm not gonna spoil that either. But this is a very much enemies to lovers duology, and I can keep repeating it, but the way that the whole duology wraps up, I sobbed my heart out, and it still hurts to this day. And I read it last year. Like, it still viscerally hurts me, but I'm obsessed with these characters and I'm obsessed with this author, and I will read anything she writes because she has just a way of writing that just really sucks you in and feels painful, but you love it and you keep asking for more. I think that's, yeah, this duology. Another one that I have spoken over and over and over about, Diabound by Sable Sorensen. I will never shut up about this book. Furybound is due to be released in May. I'm told I have an arc coming. I'm really hoping that the arc is coming, because that is one of my top 3 anticipated releases. I'm so excited for it. I just genuinely know that it's going to absolutely crush me and destroy me, but I'm still so eager for it. You know, the worst thing about reading arcs is you have that much more of a wait before the next book. So that's not going to be fun, but I'm still going to read it. And I'm planning on rereading Diabound. I am going to annotate the crap out of it in preparation for Furybound. Yeah, this is... You know, everyone compares this to Fourth Wing, and I understand why, but I think this also stands in a lane completely on its own. I don't like comparing books to other books, and I know why we do it, and I get it. It does make it easier to find recommendations when you're searching for that feeling, but I think this stands in a lane completely of its own. To be honest, I love Diabound probably, yeah, more than I love Fourth Wing, and I love Xaden, but let's just say there's an MMC you get introduced to here that kind of demolishes Xaden, and I really love all the mysteries that gets wrapped in with also all the struggles the FMC is going through, trying to accumulate, nope, that's not the word, customize her, accustomed to her new life, even though she's gone in there with one goal and one goal only, and it just kind of gets taken away from her, and she's struggling against that, and it's not an easy journey. And sometimes when we have an FMC who's fighting against fate, it kind of just gets wrapped up really quickly, but this one doesn't. This is a struggle, this is a long journey, and it just feels really realistic, and I really love this FMC. But I know Furybound is going to be even better, and I'm not ready, but I'm also ready. It's going to be insane. Oh. Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. Oh my god, this book. I didn't expect to love this book as much as I did. I've read Scarlett St. Clair's other books, and while I did really enjoy them, this one, blown away. Absolutely jaw-dropping, stunning. The story that we're thrown into, the world we're thrown into, this urban fantasy world where religion kind of rules the world and everyone's following this religion, and if you don't follow this religion, you know, you don't exist. She grows up in a family that's very prominent within this religion, but she doesn't feel like she fits. She has had a very tough upbringing that's kind of been brushed under the rug and ignored by everyone that's supposed to protect her. And when she finally just says enough is enough, I'm going to live the life that I want to live, and I'm not going to let religion dictate the life that I live and the person I am, she escapes, goes to an area ruled by a rival kind of family. They're not really rivals, but they are. They both, her family rules one part of the land, and he rules another part of the land, and she goes to live with him because she knows he will protect her and she can be who she wants to be. So she's living in his world. She is someone who collects for other people artifacts. Someone hires her to find an artifact, she will find it, or she would have found it already and then sell it on. And you're following her while she's living this life. You're also being introduced to this other facet of her life that she's no longer living, but is still in the back of her mind, and she still has ties to. And then you're also like introduced to this this guy who protects her, who kind of stands in her shadows and lets her be who she wants to be, and he's silently supporting her and being there when he needs her, when she needs him. I love this book so much. Every time I talk about it, I just like get this overwhelming urge to read it. I don't know if I should just read it. Should I just read it again? We do have the cover for book 2. I think book 2 is set to be released in October, which is so far away, but I know it's going to be worth it. It's called Coiled at the Roots, but I'm just like, this is a book, another book that I could read over and over and over again, and I constantly think about. Like, I have not stopped thinking about it since I read it last year, like mid last year I think I read it, or towards the late of the year, but I have not stopped thinking about this as a book that just lives rent-free in my brain, and I don't think I will ever forget this book. God, the temptation to just move off my TBR and read this instead is so overwhelmingly strong. The most recent addition to the 6-star the 6-star list, and Souls in Ruin by Jacqueline White. I have just recently finished this book. I do have a reading vlog coming up of this book very soon, but let me just say, I did not know what I was in for. I did not know how this book was going to make me feel and how viscerally connected to this story I was going to become and submerged, and how it's going to be impossible for me to move on. And this book is being re-released by publishers in November. Book 1 is coming out, and I just know that that means book 2 is not coming out till 2027, and I'm absolutely heartbroken. This is why I don't always love, I will always read indie books, will always, but one part I don't love about it is sometimes when they are picked up traditionally, it pushes back the release for the second book, and I get it, and they deserve it, and this is not me complaining, but it does make it that much harder because you have so much more of a wait to go. I ended up like highlighting so many paragraphs in here that just hit so freaking hard and just shouted at me. That reading vlog is coming next. After this video goes up, that reading vlog will come out. Yeah, dark fantasy romance. The romance is not... It's first and foremost, in my eyes, a dark fantasy. You're following this FMC and you're living her life, and she is the forefront. The romance is not the forefront. She is the forefront. She's the focus, and she's what's important, and the romance comes second to that. But just being with her on her journey and witnessing what she's going, it's really heartbreaking. It really hurt reading. Yeah, this book may be called Souls in Ruin, and it added my soul along with it because I absolutely wrecked. I highly recommend. If you love dark fantasy romance, you have to read this book, but please do check trigger warnings because it's hard. It's really hard. Alchemized by Sin Lin Yu. I keep saying I still think about this book. All these books I still think about. This one changed my brain chemistry. This one changed everything for me in the way I look at a lot of books that I read. I think there are some very, very important themes within this. This is a dark fantasy. It's not a dark fantasy romance. It's a dark fantasy. There is romance within it, but it's not the forefront. That's not what's important within this book. It's the plot. It's the story. It's the themes. It's the journey of the FMC and how she lives within this war and how the impact this war has had within the world, within the characters and the future, and how everything has changed. This is very, very dark. If you could see my annotations, it was another book that was just so utterly painful, but so worth reading. And I think it's so important to read this and understand what you're being told. Yeah, I think I'm planning on rereading this fairly soon. Me and my sister want to reread this. We've been wanting to reread this like the second we finished it, but this is a thick book and it took a while to get through because you do need to take breaks, or I did need to take breaks, but I need to return to this world, and yeah, it's so thick. I kind of want to read the paperback that I have, but the hardback that I have is what's been annotated, and I have a feeling I'm going to want to annotate more. So yeah, this book is haunting, is the best way I can describe it. Half City by Kate Golden. I knew this book was going to be 5-star. I didn't know it was going to be a 6-star. I think this is very on par to me at Terror at the Gates. It's another urban fantasy world. You're following an FMC who is a demon hunter, but she isn't aware of a lot of things that's happening with her. She's had to demon hunt by herself. She used to be with her father died, and she took up the mantle and did it by herself. A lot of things change when one day someone comes up to her and says, we want you to attend to an academy for demon hunters, and she's like, what the fuck? What do you mean there are other demon hunters and I'm not by myself? I'm not carrying the world on my shoulders and having to protect humanity all by myself with the fear that I may one day end up like my father. Yeah. I love the world that I thought that this world was literally just urban fantasy world. I didn't know that there was going to be so many more elements to it. They kind of just opened it up in a way. I'm not sure if I'm really explaining myself very well, but this is a academia setting in an urban fantasy world where you're following a demon hunter who has hunted demons since she was very, very young, and one day gets told that she can attend academy for demon hunters to better herself and work with other people. But one thing's wrong. She has a secret that she can't tell anyone in fear of it killing her. And as she's attending this university, she gets dangerously close to the demon professor, who is the only demon professor in this academy. And he has secrets of his own. Secret that I think is going to become very important in book 2. The way this ended, I'm very confused with what it means. Like, what avenue are we being explored here? Where is this going to go? Especially to do with the romance, without giving it too much away. But I think book 2 is going to be a huge plot twist. I have no idea what we're into for book 2. And I can't wait. I genuinely cannot wait for it because I feel like it's going to turn my whole world upside down. And I'm so ready for it. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. We have books 1 and 2 out already. I know that a lot of people didn't like Brimstone. I loved Brimstone. Blown away. Brimstone made me cry. Brimstone made me sob my heart out. I still hurt. Still annoyed at the author for doing that to me. But we will not speak of it. I love this series. I've loved every book so far in it. It is a 6-star series for me. I love the world that we get thrown into, how there are parallel universes living together. There's the Fae world, the human world. The humans fear the Fae. The Fae are the Fae, you know? And this FMC is not all that she seems. And I really love coming along with her in her development. I did have a lot of questions to do with her in book 2 that I was a little bit like, can we not, like, there were certain parts that I think could have been moved on a little bit more quickly and we could have explored a lot more better. I do have a reading vlog of me reading Brimstone where I do spoil and I do say like how I felt about certain things, but I love this series and I'm really excited for the continuation of the series. I have no idea when book 3 is coming out. I know it's this year at some point. I think it might be mid to late this year, but we don't have a cover or a title yet. But I'm so excited to return to this world and return to these characters. They are my favourite couple, one of my favourite couples. I love Kingfisher. Kingfisher can do no wrong in my eyes and I love him so much, and he just gets better within every book. And I really love the FMC in here. So Cyrus, she is one of my favourite FMCs as well. So yeah, really, really excited to return to that world and to return to these characters and see what they get up to and where the plot goes. But those are all my 6-star books. I have a lot more. I have a lot more 6-star books, to be quite honest. But these are the 10 that I have that I feel like may not be as hyped as much. Some of them are. Some of them aren't. A lot of them aren't. But that I feel like need more recognition and need to be spoken about more. So I really hope maybe some of these books got put on your radar and that you're thinking of picking some of these up and giving them a chance. I promise you, you will not regret it. I think these are perfection. And please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.